Hey everybody, Dan Schinder here on Yesshift with that guy.
Steven Shinder.
That's right. What do we do? I always forget.
Yeah, we're a father son podcast. I'm the father, you're the son. That's how we roll.
That's right.
Anyone who's new to the show, that's the premise. We talk about Yes and Yes's members, and we've got a lot of breaking news to cover in this episode.
Yeah, and we also cover like the periphery of Yes. Yes has a lot of branches when you look at the family, people that have played with each other outside of the actual band. You got Steve Hackett, who played with Steve Howe, and you got Carl Palmer, who was in Asia with those guys, and there's all that. So we try to cover it all.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just like trying to share this around as we broadcast live. So what's our first news item that we have
Well,
on
this
here,
is
Dan?
really cool. I'm excited about this. Kudos to Steve Howe for winning. This is cool. I saw one little clip and he was like, wow, that guy's like moving again big time, like 1977 going for the one tour, except this is him winning the Devonshire Ping Pong Championship, the regional for the UK before it goes on to the UK Championship, which I think is in Ireland or Scotland. They're both the same, basically, right? I probably don't want to say that, but
I mean, yeah, they're close to each other, but yeah, I'm not sure which one, but
yeah,
yeah.
but that was really cool. Now, I don't know if you know, this was singles category. He used to play doubles with Francis Monkman, but they had a falling out because Francis tried to take credit for the whole premise of Yours Is No Disgrace. So Steve kind of just like distanced himself from that whole thing. But kudos to Steve Howe. That's awesome.
Yeah, like the whole ping pong thing is kind of surprising, but also kind of not, because we've heard about some of these members playing tennis and even playing cricket together. I think I remember like in that ABWH video, a couple of the members were like playing cricket. So yeah, it's
But
really cool
here's the
that they're
thing.
active. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Look it up. He's obviously a right-handed guitar player. He plays ping pong left-handed. He favors his left hand. Like,
Oh wow.
what's up with that? Yeah, I didn't know he was that ambidextrous. I didn't know guitar players could be. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no.
that's really cool.
Yeah, I wish
Oh,
I was
Doug.
ambidextrous.
Yeah, I am actually, and I got that from Grandma.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Douglas Reed says, "Go get him, How." Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this next news item. So obviously, there's a whole Relayer tour delay controversy, but Yes have announced that they're gonna make up for it by inviting Patrick Moraz onto their Relayer tour when it happens next year. The schedules will finally align, and Patrick will be able to join them alongside Jeff Downs. So what do you think that's gonna feel like, Dad?
I, if we look back at the 50th anniversary tour and you had some guest appearances, it reminds me of that right away. And I
Yeah.
think it's cool. I think it's a fair nod to Mr. Mraz. And Jeff is just that gentlemanly kind of guy where,
Yeah, and he's a fan of Pat as well,
yeah,
when you
I
really
don't think
think
he's
about it.
threatened like Pat's gonna take over Yes and then the Buggles and Deep Purple. And we got some Deep Purple news, by the way, too. But I think it's cool. I think it's very communal, and
Yeah.
Yes has been an institution, obviously, and we've seen different alum come in and out, back and forth, and this would be a neat thing to see, I think.
Yeah, it would definitely be a dream come true and a great way to celebrate 50 years of Relayer next year.
Yep, and I heard that Pat is bringing some of his gear that he used on that tour. He's not messing around with samples or trying to replicate it with newer instruments. He's actually bringing some of the old stuff. I think you have to crank it to get started or something.
Hell yeah, getting that authentic 70s sound. I love it.
Yeah, me too. Totally cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of competitions, not Jeff and Pat, but going back to Steve Howe, Billy Sherwood in the news, totally outside of music. This ironically was a fundraiser for a diabetes association, but it was a popcorn eating contest, but not just any popcorn eating contest. It was habanero flavored popcorn sponsored by Kettle Heroes. Apparently, I hope he's okay. Dude certainly got his fiber He ate a record 9 pounds of popped popcorn in 7 minutes.
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
like I
it's
can't
very
even get my head
surprising.
around, and I can eat. I'm a little guy, but I can freaking eat. But that's just like, and habanero, the stuff. It's yeah. Oh, sorry, not habanero. Hatch green chili, not quite as hot, but more flavorful and still spicy nonetheless. So there you go.
Okay, yeah. And you've been like involved with like the association like over at Drum Talk TV. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
yeah. I was diagnosed. July will be 3 years with diabetes. So it's just weird. A popcorn eating contest.
Yeah.
Diabetics can't eat popcorn. For those who don't know, but I think they had some other categories. They had hot dogs, broccoli. That part makes sense, and he chose popcorn. So there you go.
Nice. Yeah, and regarding the upcoming Yes album Mirror to the Sky, they're actually going to release it 3 weeks earlier than they initially announced.
Really?
Yeah, so it'll come out April 28th, which coincidentally is Eddie Jobson's birthday, which
Is he in the
ties.
video?
I mean, I guess we'll have to see what the next video is like. But that kind of segues into this next bit of news that I found, which is that for the 40th anniversary of 90125 later this year, they're re-releasing it, but with like replacing the keyboard parts with Eddie Jobson, like sort of reimagining it. Now, as I understand it, Tony K and Trev is like fine with it because Trevor Rabin did most of the keyboards on that album anyway, and Trevor Rabin gave the okay, and so did Trevor Horn. Is kind of a consultant on it, so it'll be interesting seeing what it's like. Like, what would Eddie Jobson have contributed on that album? Like, just listening to everything else with the keyboards like taken out of the mix.
So, knowing that, what song are you looking forward to the most? And by the way, folks, chime in. Let us know the same thing. Let us know where you're watching from too. Steven's in Southern California. I'm in Arizona. If you want to get more pinpoint, he's in. Can I say what city you're in?
Yeah, just the city.
Okay, he's in Downey, and I'm
Yeah.
in Globe, Arizona. Wow, why did I have to think of that? Up in the mountains, 100 miles east of Phoenix. So let us know where you're watching from. Chime in on these different things. How much popcorn do you think you could eat? But yeah, what song would you be looking forward to the most? And would you want to see video of them playing, to kind of go old school MTV where there's actually musicians playing, not just some kooky storyline?
Well, the first one that came to mind for some reason is our song. I just think about the intro, like dun, 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 dun. So I kind of wonder how different that whole thing could
Yeah.
be. And yeah, I'd love to see video of this. It'd be really cool.
My
Um,
first song that came to, oh, is there a comment?
yeah. Tony Lee says, "Hi guys, listening from Abilene, Texas." Oh wow, that's kind of funny because there's that Yes song, Abilene. So,
Cool.
and Tony says, "I would love to hear what Eddie Jobson's take on Hearts is."
That's what I was just going to say. I want to see him play Hearts and do Trevor's guitar solo on the violin.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that. And maybe duet it.
Mm,
Hey, they could do a TikTok duet.
yeah.
No, but this is cool. And they're gonna do, I don't know if we can say this yet. Well, we got the press release and it didn't have an embargo date. So they're gonna
Right.
release
Yeah.
this on a Blu-ray vinyl, but instead of it being like clear pink or blue or whatever, it's gonna have the old logo from the 90125 original album, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it just like the picture in the press release looks very aesthetically pleasing. It's really cool. We'll
And
post it later.
yeah, and that logo really embodied that new generation of Yes and moving into 80s music and that whole thing. So to bring that back is really cool.
Yeah. So, what other news items do we have
So
here? I'm
this
like kind
is
of busy
interesting.
sharing.
Yeah, Trevor Rabin, obviously, he hasn't like been in a band for a long time. He's done a lot of movie scores, things like that. He did the thing with Rick Wakeman and John Anderson, but he's going on the road to fill in for Roger Glover on tour with Deep Purple for some dates in
Oh,
Eastern
wow.
Europe, actually. Yeah, which is weird. I think he's there working on a movie score. Roger, I don't want to get into it, but Trevor they agreed to fill in on bass. I don't know if I've knowingly ever seen him or heard him play bass.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised because he plays basically everything on various projects in the past. But
Yeah,
yeah, it'll be. I'm very curious to see what this is like because Deep Purple is not the first thing I think about when I'm like, what could a Yes member work with? Because I don't remember that much overlap between like the musicians, you know?
right. No, the only overlap is remember Rick Wakeman? I think you've seen this video. Rick Wakeman had a show called
Gas Tank.
Gas Tank, yeah. And Ian Pace jammed with Rick Wakeman and I think John Lord. I think they were all on the same
Okay.
episode together. So that's the only overlap that I know of. Something else I was gonna say about that though. Oh, it'd be cool if Trevor got a white precision Fender Precision bass with the same paint job as the Strat that he's famous for on 90125, that tour.
Yeah,
You know, it's
that'd
all
be
the
great.
blotchy and whatever. I forgot the story behind that, but that'd really be cool if he showed up with that.
Yeah, like I remember the 901 Live video, like just the way Trevor's guitar looks on that. Like I kind of have a soft spot, like a nostalgic spot for guitars that look like the ones that he's played, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's interesting. Hopefully there'll be some. It'd be funny if it ended up being on a date where they already made arrangements to shoot a DVD and they couldn't change it or something.
Yeah, that would be something, but you know, these things can happen, so you never know.
Yeah, it can happen, but we'll see some video boots on YouTube, I'm sure. I mean, I wonder how many Deep Purple fans aren't even aware of Trevor Rabin. You never know. So I
Right.
think that's kind of cool. Huge Deep Purple fan, huge Trevor Rabin fan. And there you go.
Yeah.
What do you
Um
got next?
so is that all the news items we have? I'm just looking at
No, there's
our
one more, but
doc.
Alex Harrison in San Diego says Deep Purple with like four question marks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one more. I don't know
Okay.
if you know this. John Davidson. So John Davidson, how many projects is he in? He's in Yes,
Yeah, he's in Arc of Life.
Arc of Life.
Um, he's been touring with John Lodge,
He was in
and
Glass Hammer.
yeah, he was in Glass Hammer until he had to focus on Yes. So yeah,
So I think as part of the Relayer dates becoming available, he's actually going to do a mini tour and he's putting on a solo album that he's been working on in the background. It's called Side Hustle to the Side Hustle, which makes sense given all the side hustles he's already got besides Yes. The lineup: Brian May on guitar, Trevor Horn on bass, Aaron
wow,
Emerson on keys, which is really cool, and Gavin Harrison
nice.
on drums. Yeah, we'll have to get Aaron on. We can get Gavin on for sure. Gavin's a friend of Drum Talk TV. He'll come on.
Yeah, like we've seen Aaron and his band play when they did that live stream a
Yeah,
while back. Like
that's right.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be
So
cool. I'm not sure I can imagine what it's going to sound like. I mean, the first two names, Brian May and Trevor Horn, I think Trevor produced it actually too.
yeah, I wouldn't be
But
surprised.
but
So
how'd they get him to pull out the bass and go on? Well, maybe he's not going to be the bass player on the road. I'm not sure. It's only like 3 weeks.
right. Yeah, we'll just have to see what more comes of this.
Yeah, the side hustle to the side hustle.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
catchy title.
there we go. Yeah. Couple more comments. Kevon Lester says, um, it's probably going to sound something like Queen meets Family meets the Buggles. Well, that's an interesting take.
Yeah, I'm kind of having a hard time wrapping my head around that, but maybe, yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I
Um,
see Mick Burnstrom says it's not Yes without Tony O'Reilly. Oh, that's like the drummer who was on some gigs on the original like early gigs in
oh
'67.
yeah, that's right. Before Bill, right?
Well, like
Or
in
no,
between,
he.
like Bill left for school, and then Tony
Yeah,
filled in for some shows, and then Bill
that's
came
right.
back. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's very funny.
that's hilarious. That's it. That's the deepest. It's not Yes without mention
Yeah,
that I've ever heard. I think.
right.
What's the
Um,
thing you found that I saw you post about Rick Wakeman referencing the Union and a possible
Oh, right.
Reunion
So
again.
yeah, so well, before I get into that, should I like mention like what all this other stuff we talked about is, or
If you want.
okay. Um so yeah, April Fools, everyone. All the stuff we said before like was a joke.
In case you didn't know.
Yeah.
But this next thing's for real. And I only
Yeah,
had time to glance at it, so I'm not sure I have the right context.
right.
Could just
So
be Rick making shit up again or remembering differently. Who knows?
right. So well, before I get into it, just want to like clarify cuz apparently April Fool's Day isn't as like we went to this last year when we did an April Fool's Day thing, like isn't as international as I guess we sort of assumed it was.
Right.
But basically for well, April 1st for Americans at least, maybe in some other places. It's basically like a prank day and people like post some joke headlines to like sort of fool people, and so we did this and we did something last year with the Yes Music podcast.
Right.
That was a lot of fun.
And
um
I don't remember the history of how April Fool's Day started, but I do know this. You may know this. You know, my birthday is tomorrow. I'll
oh
be
yeah, I know this
60.
story.
You do? Yeah. So my birthday is April 2nd. And back then you could do this, which is my dad didn't want me born on April Fool's Day and be made fun of the rest of my life. I'm still being made fun of the rest of my life. So he told the doctor, "Can you give my wife a sedative? I don't want my little boy being born on." So he did, and I was born the next day. That might
Yeah.
explain a lot. I have no idea what he gave her. I never found out.
Right, but yeah, this article, which is very much real, it was from Sonic Perspectives. It was an interview with Rick. You know, Rick's been playing, and he put out his album recently, which we talked about on a recent episode. In this interview, the interviewer talked to him about like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing and about Yes, and sort of reminiscing about the Union tour, and Rick was talking about how much he loved the Union tour, and he said there was talk of a reunion, like another reunion recently, but like he said something along the lines of it cannot be repeated without Chris and Alan because they were the engine. um so I'm like very curious about like when these talks were or how big the talks were, because I mentioned this in my post that like I could imagine it just being like John Anderson sort of dreaming and sort of saying, "Oh, we should like go out like on the Union tour again," and maybe
Yeah, and with
that's
who? Like,
and like maybe that's like the most of it. I don't know if Rick and the current band members talked, or if maybe it had something to do with the Alan White tribute. Maybe if there would have been something there, or maybe they would have talked to each other when the Yes Atlantic catalog got sold. So like I don't know like
hmm.
what extent these talks he mentioned with went to, like if they were like big or small, because it's kind of tough to pin down, especially because you know Yes, the official band have like their touring plans and are figuring that out like with all this stuff going on. So
Right.
it's kind of hard to imagine like when something on the scale of a Union tour could happen amidst all this other stuff that's
And I
happening
can't
around.
again imagine, you know, it'd have to be Billy and Jay. Bill wouldn't do it. I know that. I could just
Right.
hear him laughing if they approached him. You know, no offense to anybody, but and then who? Jeff and Rick and John and John, like it just doesn't seem real at all.
Right. And I mean, to be like Rick has said in the last couple of years, like we've talked about when he's commented in other places that he's cool with Steve Howe continuing the band, and it seemed like he'd be open to returning if he were asked, but maybe things have changed since Alan's passing, so which is understandable, and you know, you
Yeah.
can't, and again, like the headline for this made it seem like Rick was opposed to returning completely, and people were mentioning ARW and stuff, but the context of the interview, like to me, made it sound like he was saying something like the Union tour can't be done again, especially without Chris and Alan. So that's kind of like my takeaway from that
Yeah.
interview type thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for filling in the blanks. And there's a lot more, but not to any fault of yours.
Right. Yeah, I mean, with some of these things, there's not always clear answers, but it can be kind of fun to speculate, you know.
Yeah. Two more quick things. You have a Tempus Fugit note. And how about that saxophone thing I sent you earlier this morning?
Oh yeah, you sent me a cover of We Have Heaven.
All saxophones. It's amazing.
Yeah, this is from 2015. I'll be sure to post that in the comments and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Put the link
But
in
yeah,
there.
this was by I'm trying to look at the name right now. Because I know it was on the Yes Source YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I'm
might
looking
have
at the
it
wrong
here.
place. I thought you sent it to me on Messenger, but I just remembered you texted it to me.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think I sent it in.
Sax Life apparently is the name of the.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
You know
Um.
what? And just for fun, I'm going to play a little bit of it. I think we'll be okay to do that.
All right.
Hopefully it won't get muted, but
Yeah, but
that's
listening to this, like, I'm pretty sure I'd never heard this version before you sent it to me, but somehow sounded like I had listened to it before.
well, when did it come out? It came out in 2015.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that before. Interesting. And the video only has 36 views as I'm looking.
Yeah,
at
it just got posted a few days ago.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also along the lines of yes and covers, I mentioned this to you last Friday, Friday, March 24th. Yeah. I went to this place in Long Beach called Boomer's Cocktails to see my friend's band, Fake Band practice. They're like,
Love that name.
yeah, they're like pop punk type of thing, and they're really good. But before they went on, well, there's someone who covered "Wish You Were Here," which is great. But before any of the performances, you know, there was music playing on the
Ambiance
speaker.
music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and one of the songs that played was Yes's cover of "Every Little Thing" by the Beatles.
I
Like,
never would have guessed that.
yeah, like I heard like the opening notes and I like perked up and I thought to myself, is this actually it? And it kept going and I was like, oh shit, this is it. And
Yeah.
like I was like just like reacting out loud.
You're looking
and,
around to see if anyone else is going like that.
yeah,
Everyone's
my
oblivious,
friend
right?
doesn't know what's going on. I tell someone like what's going on, and then I'm like, wait, I don't know why I'm telling you this. You wouldn't get it. Like it was just such a, because they're so used to like Ownerville Only Hard or Roundabout or something like
going
that.
for the one, all good people.
But yeah, this was such a deep cut, like from the first album. And
So let me ask you this: did
yeah.
you notice any of the other music on either side? Was all that stuff like deep cuts, or was it an esoteric playlist of
there were some popular songs from what I remember. Like there was something by the Cars that I'm pretty sure was on the radio. And yeah, there were, I can't remember what else there was, but I remember thinking like there were like some, you know, things you would typically hear on the radio. And I think Us and Them by Pink Floyd even played at one point.
Interesting. What a mix.
I think so. I think it did, but yeah, I was just like, man, I'm so glad to be here in this moment when this song is playing.
That's funny. Was it like way in the background or turned up where people had to try to talk over it?
It like the people weren't too loud, so it was easy to hear it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could just see you shushing everybody, and you're the only one that cares.
Yeah, I basically was the only one who cared, but like, but yeah, that was like a nice little thing that happened recently. So let's talk about Tempus Fugit or Fugit, however you want to pronounce it.
Fugit.
Yeah. So, you know, the time between the release of this and Tormato wasn't that big of a gap when you really think about it. And it's very different from what we're used to from Yes, but like what are your overall impressions with Tempus Fugit?
The song itself?
Uh, well, you know, the whole thing.
Are we talking about from Drama or this other album?
Yeah, we're talking about the Francis Monkman album.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For the listeners and
Yeah,
viewers.
that was the joke.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, there's a Francis Monkman album called Tempus Fugit that came out in 78 or 9.
Yeah, 78.
Yeah. Um, I hadn't heard it before that I know of. And when you sent it to me earlier, I was quite surprised. It sounds way ahead of its time as far as it's for those who aren't familiar with it, which is probably everyone, a touch of maybe not, but like electronica music of what electronica was back then. Does that make sense? You got sequencers and just really ultra modern sounds and stuff like that. It's very different.
Yeah. I'm just looking through the tracks. Like the first one, Strident theme, felt kind of like spy music to me.
Yeah. And then there's the slightly longer one by about 21 seconds with an alternate ending.
Yeah.
Which one do you like better?
I think the first one.
Really, I think I like the second one.
Okay. Yeah, and then we have Speed, G-Force, Live Action. I'm just reading the tracks and then I'll say my thoughts on a few of them.
Yeah. And Steve will pop the link in the comments too, so you can all hear this.
Daredevil, Stress, Getting Ready, Stargazing, Mystique. Oh wow,
They should have
another Marvel character.
Yeah, they should have picked Stargazing for the quest instead of I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, yeah. Everyone, I'm kidding.
Starlight and Art and Science. So to me, the songs like I think Speed and Live Action felt kind of Rick Wakeman-esque to me somehow.
I hear a bit of that in there.
Yeah, like I could imagine them being on one of those 70s Rick Wakeman albums. But Daredevil felt kind of like a bit UK, maybe King Crimson, like I could imagine like Bill Bruford playing on something like this. Getting Ready has like a very eerie feel to it, and of course like throughout Tempus Fugit you have like a spacey feel, especially on Stargazing and some other things. But yeah, like this is, it's kind of funny that this is considered library music. You know, it's made for a music library for like to then be used for stuff, and it's like very varied. Like you get like a few different things in here, and it's
not all the same for sure.
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty good effort by Francis Monkman.
I think we need to remind people that this last few bits are not part of the April Fool's part of the show. This is all real. It's right, like now that I'm listening to all this thinking,
Tempus Fugit is a real music release by Francis Monkman. But yeah, it's good that we clarify, because you're right. Like in the past, we've joked about, well, mostly you have joked about like Francis Monkman. So like we have to like let people know, okay, this is an actual music release. And none of it sounds like the Yes song Tempus Fugit. So
did it at all, some of the more slightly sequence / ambient parts remind you at all of that? I'm pretty sure it was the Pat Mraz album that we covered.
Oh, A Story of I?
Yeah, doesn't it sort of feel like that a little bit?
Maybe tiny bits.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of when I started listening to it.
Okay, yeah. So
I wonder if they're the same guy.
Yeah, but I guess we could talk about the song Tempus Fugit, like just for the heck of it.
Sure.
To me, it's, well, I'll ask you something, but to me, it's like, it's such a feat learning the lyrics and being able to sing it all like all together, and like it was like learning the alphabet backwards. Like after I did that like many years ago with this song and with that, it just I felt really proud of myself. And
me too. I remember doing that when the album came out. It's very challenging from a singing point of view, and the lyrics are great, and it just keeps going. You know, it's truly the voice as an instrument. And the song itself is very adventurous. The sounds of the instruments are great. The production's great. I love that song.
Yeah, and something that occurred to me when thinking about it today was for a while, this was like pretty much the last Yes song, and it even ends with the words yes conveniently. So, like, how did you feel about that when it seemed like that was the final track from Yes at the time?
That was almost eerie, like it was over planned. Like after this, we're not doing anything, so here's how we're gonna end. You know, it was almost contrived. But was I gonna say? Oh, another Tony Jefferson says, I can't believe how long ago that came out. Tempus Fugit or Fugit indeed. And one more note before you folks chime in is that this also isn't really live.
Right.
Which means all the comments were part of the April Fool's joke.
Yeah, we made up all the comments.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed this, folks. You can reach out to us with questions, comments, suggestions at yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com. And you can listen to us if you don't like looking at us. You can listen to us at anchor.fm/yesshift. Watch us on Facebook at facebook.com/yesshift or on YouTube at youtube.com/@yesshift.
Yeah, and one final thing, Dad. Since April 2nd, like tomorrow, as people are watching, listening, is your birthday. I ordered you the Tormato Story book by Kevin Mulrine from Yes Music Podcast.
Oh, wow. Thank you. That is awesome. I can't wait to hear that or read that.
April Fools. I haven't ordered it yet, but I'm going to. Yeah.
That's fun. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, but on that note, I noticed that the release date got pushed back 3 weeks to April 21st. So yeah, wow. but I'll be sure to pre-order that for both of us. So,
that's weird. April Fools is the 1st. My birthday's the 2nd. They moved it to the 21st.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, folks. And keep an eye out for our posts about what's coming up, because I feel like if we announce it here, you might think it's a joke. So just keep an eye on the Facebook feed and whatnot.
Yeah, we won't be doing any shows till, well, you have it there because I'm going to be gone.
We'll post about it. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, if I could give one quick plug.
Sure.
One of the things I'm doing, so I'm going to Las Vegas for my birthday where some of our kids live, and also walking the rehearsal space and the venue for the 10-year anniversary Drum Talk TV show that's going to be at Notoriety in downtown Las Vegas, May 20th. Jeff Berlin is going to be my co-host. So excited. There's going to be a lot of surprises and music and videos and things like that in this theater. Very limited seating, about 200 people. VIP packages available, 2 different kinds. An hour of VIP hang before and after the show with me and the other artists. And it's going to be a lot of fun, more than just a concert. So watch for that. By the time this airs, it will have been released through our email mailing list. So sign up for that either way on the Drum Talk TV Facebook page or at drumtalktv.com. And I'd love to see you there. I'd love to see you there. Big prize for the person who travels the farthest. And you got to prove it with your ID.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right. That's it. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.